Hello and welcome to finishing up step 13. So what I ended up deciding to do, since I've got two of these M2A2 ODS kits that I'm working on, is I'm going to finish up the one that we're working on here as the ODS version with all of the appropriate parts for it. And I'm going to do a second one later on that's meant to go to Ukraine. This is the one that I will end up using as just my base kit of having built it out of the box to show off to everybody what it looks like. The only modification will be this mantlet piece right here that we did earlier. So that's where I'll leave that, so you can look forward to at some point in time in the future of me doing this with all the modifications that I'm doing for a vehicle that would be in Ukraine from the Tamiya kit. Let's jump into this. So I'm going to still leave this part of the mantlet off for now, but I will at a future point I'll be gluing that on. However, I'm going to glue this in. I've already started drilling out the barrel. Unfortunately, when I was drilling out the barrel, I found out that the drill bit that I have in my drill, which I'm using, is now dull. So while I can put this in and drill it out, it doesn't really do a whole lot anymore. So I've ordered some new drill bits, but what I'm using here I believe is a number 64. It's a pretty small drill bit. It's just big enough. I have done this in the past. You can drill this all the way down to here and then just take a very sharp hobby knife and you can clear out those flutes on the side and you can get a very nice representation of this barrel just from the kit provided part. However, at this point I'm going to glue this in. It's not going to make a difference to dealing with this barrel when I want to clean it out. And just put it in and yeah, nice fluted barrel right there. No big deal. Set that aside. So I'm gonna just walk my way around the top. Now I've already got a few pieces that are glued on when I was test fitting some of this stuff. So right here, part E24 is already glued on, and on the side, part E4 is already glued on. So apologies for that. Now the important thing about this piece that goes on the side is you'll notice there's a little tab on the side of the doghouse right there, and the two legs go on either side. So that's when you want to make sure that you've got this cleaned up well. I didn't realize it, but I still had a little part of the sprue on there. So I'll just cut that down like so. And glue that on. And remember, like I was saying, the Ukrainian vehicles don't have that on them. They have the two top little, I don't even know if they're attachment points or what they are. There should be a little hole drilled through each one of those triangles. But that's just the way that it is. At this point in time, we're not putting the doors on the front of the sight. And remember, we never inserted the plastic, the clear plastic behind there. If you're going to have these doors shut, it doesn't matter. All right, we'll move on to the periscope here. And this periscope does face towards the gunner's hatch, and it's a little bit taller, and what that's supposed to do is basically look over the gunner's hatch. So since we are doing the correct version for this, oh, I'm sorry, I also forgot to mention I already put part B52 on this as well. So now that we removed those pieces that aren't going to end up being used, And what I will end up doing on the Ukrainian one, like I had mentioned in the earlier video, is I will go through and make this hole this size on this piece right here. And that's how I'm going to deal with making it the proper size for having that lift lug behind it. It shouldn't be too bad, and it should be something that will be interesting when we do the build in the future for the Ukrainian version. Just to give you a rough idea, I've marked off on there roughly. You don't just gouge it out at the bottom, it's got to be the bottom and the top. That's the part that I wanted to point out there, but regardless. I'll put this on. Now, even though it had that position on the turret facing, you could theoretically you could have glued this to the back of this. I don't like that because I want this solid on the turret face. So I glued that on first, and while I know it's still wet, that's why I'm doing this kind of quickly, I adjusted it so that this would be lined up, and that looks like the photos of the real deal. That's what we want. Now I am going to attach that piece on here, but I'm going to do it later because there's no actual positive spot. It's just a little circle that's on the turret there to tell you that that's supposed to be there. And it's a butt joint with the glue. It's not going to be that great, so I'm going to wait on that. As far as the rest of this, it's all pretty simple. I mean, it's a good Tamiya buildability, if you will. There's no positive markings for part E15. So you're going to have to center it using the old Mark 1 eyeball where it looks good. And what I would do is I would just fudge a little bit so there's a little sliver around all the sides, so that when you're working with these parts you have a little bit of extra room, just in case it's needed for something else. So that's glued on there. This goes on the back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the back of the doghouse first. Get that all centered in nice. And then I will attach and I am putting a little extra glue there. Then I'll attach this part. Now I did not hollow these out because, again, I don't have the drill bits for it, but I don't think in my past experience that that's going to be a problem. They do still have the little lines. I didn't clean up those parts there yet, because I'll take a file and do that and then drill the holes. And next week when I get my drill bits, I will demonstrate that rather than just tell you about it like I am here. Finally putting this sight in. Like so. Now, again, since, like I told you, I'm doing this as a standard Tamiya kit, I'm using these mounts, but for my Ukrainian version I have some, what I would say are more authentic or more detailed, better detailed antenna bases that I'll use. It's just me making conversation right now. Doesn't really matter for what we're doing with this. So there you go, step 13. It's just adding all these various detail parts all the way around. Again, with the modified mantlet. I think, you know, if I was just building the kit, that looks so much better already, just by modifying that we did. And the last part here, I will, if you notice on the model, there's a tiny circle spot right there, raised up. That's where this goes. Just plunk that on. Yeah, I know my barrel came off. All I want to do is make sure that I've got it squared up to the side. These things tend to be, there we go, more square. So aside from this wanting to go forward, which I don't want because that'll bend that barrel up, there you go with step 13. And I'll see you for step 14.